Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're joining us from. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for joining the Journey to Graduate School series organized by Ignite Research Academy. So today our topic of discussion is managing rejections. But before that, I would just love to speak a little more about IRA, that's Ignite Research Academy, what Ignite Research Academy is all about. So Ignite Research Academy is an educational startup that aspires to be a world-class research academy known for high-quality research capability development. Our vision at Ignite Research Academy is to build a network of competent and technologically savvy African researchers through research and capacity building, of which our events today is one of our major objectives towards achieving the aim of capacity building as regards to research. And also, one of the key objective or aim of IRA is also to achieve SDGs 9 and SDG 17, which call for technological and economic transformation. So once again, thank you very much for joining us. My name is Mariam Suleiman. I'm the Community and Outreach Lead at Ignite Research Academy. So I'm going to be introducing to us our speaker for today's event. His name is Akinola Afis Abuola. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrongly. So Afis is a Master of Arts student at the foremost McGill University, studying education and society. He's a recipient of the prestigious MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Award. It's a very prestigious scholarship award. He had his first degree from one of the top-ranked universities in Nigeria, the University of Ilorin, where he studied primary education with the option of English language. He had, before his current study, worked with one of the leading national non-governmental organizations in Nigeria as a program officer on education and girl-child literacy, in which capacity he led several projects, programs, and advocacy intervention. Hafiz Akinola has also led advocacy campaigns to provide accessible education and opportunities for children, especially girls in underserved communities in several states in Nigeria, including Imo, Ebonyi, Sokoto, Kebbi, and the Federal Capital Territory, that's Abuja. He supported the organization's project in improving women or girl child's sexual and reproductive health rights, understanding, ending gender-based violence, policy drive, governance, transparency, and accountability in public spaces. He had also earlier worked in 7 schools to teach underprivileged children in school subjects of English language, literature in English, and Yoruba. Hafiz has volunteered for different organizations to carry out community intervention projects. One of them was being a member of a community initiative, the Oyo Free Uniform Project, which provided 250 children with free uniforms. He has also led his non-governmental organization to impact the lives of many children in his community by organizing competitive competitions with prizes will be paying the school fees of the top performing students. His leadership skills and sexual education and awareness. His leadership skills is also to write and also speak on girls and international education, gender equality, leadership, and African development. Afiz is a recipient of the Humanitarian Award from the Global Goodwill Ambassador, US-based humanitarian organization. It's a pleasure to have you here, Mr. Hafiz. Thank you very much for accepting our invite to impact the Ignite Research academic community. So over to you, sir. I think the floor is yours right now.
Thank you, Mariam. The pleasure is all mine. and I welcome everybody to today's session. Um, Thank you to my friend Juma, I can see here, and other people that are listening right now. Thank you so much for coming. It's my pleasure. Um, I don't know where Mariam got all those provide, but thank you for that. Um, as it has been said, I'm honored to be here, and the topic before us is journey to graduate school, managing rejections. I intentionally did not do any slide because I wanted to share a few points, and I would appreciate if people can actually listen and um, get those points, take them home and work on them. That is why I didn't do any slide. Um, Also, I would like if the session can be interactive, if people can ask questions, scenario-based questions, and I can provide some insights. I will appreciate that. But before that, maybe in the next couple of minutes, I will share a few points of that are like lessons I've learned during my or through my journey for applying for scholarships for about 5 years. I started in 2016 until I got a yes in 2021 after receiving about 40 or thereabout rejections, but I kept pushing. So what kept me on? Why was I not dejected? Or was there any period in time during that process that I had also felt like quitting? Uh, you know, uh, as humans, we ordinarily feel weak, feel rejected when things don't go or work the way we want. But when we know what we're actually fighting for, what we're actually struggling for, what we're actually out for, will continue to be a motivation or call it an inspiration to push us to the boundary and to where we are going. And it's fine if we fail. As a matter of fact, I cherish it. I love it. Um, Aside, let me just say this. This year, I've actually chased three things. I failed in two, I won one, you know. So when after I received rejections in two, the last one, um, I felt I felt frustrated, and the feeling of what if you fail again actually crept in. And but I told myself, if I fail, and so what? So that is the motivation. That is the way I do my things. I always tell myself, and so what? Okay, because I know the world will never end. Because I fail does not mean other people will not succeed. So that's generally those things, those ideas, those mentalities that actually push me. And like I said, because I've passed through this process, I've experienced these rejections. I think what I will be sharing will not be like a motivational speaker. There will be my life lessons. There will be things I actually did. And perhaps somebody is also in that situation, or somebody is about to begin their scholarship journey, or there are people that are actually looking forward to certain opportunities or certain good news. This point I just to tell you that you are not alone. Okay, so the first thing I will start with is, if you are starting your journey now, maybe for scholarship or whatever it might be, or you are on the process, the first thing is to um, assess the initial goal. Assess your initial goal. Okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, when you are starting out, how do you start out? What is the motivation? What is the goal? What is the end goal? For example, in my case, when I started applying for scholarship and fellowships in 2016, my starting out message to myself was that no matter what, I will not quit. Okay. I told myself it is 100% going to be studying abroad on scholarship or nothing. So I told somebody that might sound crazy. To some people, it will be as if you are putting all your eggs in one basket. But for me, I don't mind. Okay. Because I was not only focusing on that, I was able to multitask and do a lot of other things. So, but I made that point to myself right from the beginning that it is this studying abroad or nothing else. So, if you build from that mentality, if you start from that mindset, that will guide you in so many things you'll be doing. How do you prepare? What do you learn? What do you improve upon? Okay. Those are that starting point will guide in so many ways. Okay. Like I said, to fail, there's no problem. It is unavoidable. Okay. And we should also be mindful that failure is actually part of the journey. And as a matter of fact, I don't see failure as failure. I don't see failure as being failed in the ordinary sense of it, as the way people are depicted. I see failure as a push to success. Okay. So look at how you're starting. What is the mindset? What is the motivation? What is the goal? Now, the fun fact about it is you might not, it's possible that you will not achieve that particular goal at the time you wanted to. When I started in 2016, I never knew that it would take me 5 years before I will be able to win a scholarship. All right. But yes, there was, about 5 years went over the journey, but I never succumbed because I knew that, and I told myself right from the beginning, I want to do my graduate studies, but I don't want to do it in Nigeria, and I don't want to use my money to do it. I want people to pay for it. I want I want to benefit from the taxes I'm paying, that the taxes my parents are paying. Yeah, because the money being used to sponsor anybody, any scholarship anywhere is like a collective work. Okay, so I want to also pull from their resources, and eventually that mentality kept me going, and I was able to see the journey through. The second point I will share is that um, when you are on this mission, even though, like I said, make sure that you assess your beginning goal, your mentality, the mindset. How do you build from the beginning? What do you aim to achieve? What is the final objective the final target you are aiming to achieve? The second thing is that you do it with fear. Yes, because most time people think that fear is a weakness, but fear is not weakness. Fear is an inspiration. Fear is a push. Fear of failure, for example, is a realization that aside from failure, the other thing is success. So when we do it with fear, for example, most of the time when I wrote my scholarship essays, I submitted. In fact, it's so funny that whenever I want to submit my scholarship application, even if I had taken maybe 3 months, 4 months, to put a package together, to um, to fill the application online, to draft the email or whatever I was doing. The moment I get to the point of submission, that second before I click submit or send, I always go back from the beginning to review. Okay, did I spell my name correctly? I'll go back and check. Did I put my date of birth correctly? Do I have my um, whatever detail? I will go back and recheck one after the other. Yes, I was doing that to be very careful, but let me be sincere with you. I was doing that because I was afraid. I was afraid that if I send this, will I be sending um, a wrong information? Am I sending wrong data? Okay. I was afraid of the fact that this is the last moment I have to put this in order to be sure of success. So I always take my time when I'm about to press submit, I'll pause and think through, have I done the right thing? Because yes, I knew that failure was part of the journey. I was not ready to fail. Okay. So let's do it with fear. When you do it with fear, it will guide you to see your loopholes, to see your weaknesses. What have I not done right? What have I done right? Okay. When you do it with fear, it will guide you when you receive a scholarship rejection, for example, and you want to do another application. Doing it with fear will give you an opportunity to assess what you did, what went wrong in the previous application, and correct it in the new one. So that is very important. Now, the third point I will share is, which is very related to doing it with fear, is being vulnerable. Now, I understand, for example, as Africans, I hope everybody here is an African. As Africans, we don't like to be vulnerable. Okay, and that is why, I mean, most of us in Africa are actually built in such a way that we are taught to bottle up our emotion. We are taught um, to show manly attitude. That is why there is a general saying in I hope I'm correct, in most African countries, be a man. Even to a woman, they say be a man. A man. So which means that a man is expected to be a strong person, somebody with a positive persona, somebody with a macho attitude, somebody that does not show weakness, somebody that does not bleed blood. Okay, somebody that does not sweat. So we are being taught to be non-vulnerable. But as human beings and on the journey to any success, scholarship or whatever it is, you have to be vulnerable. Vulnerability will guide you in such a way that you'll be able to accept your weaknesses. You'll be able to accept the fact that this is not good enough. For instance, I spent about 5 years applying for scholarships, but I was always vulnerable every year I was applying for scholarship. Now, how? Before I go, for example, let me use an example. After my 2016 scholarship applications and I got rejection in all of them, when I wanted to apply in 2017, before I started the process of 2017, the first thing I did was to go back to all the essays, all the statement of purpose, all the questions I answered in 2016 and reread them. So I read them again. I wanted to be sure what went wrong. Now, my vulnerability told me that something went wrong and I needed to check and correct those things that actually went wrong. So this is the way you can actually manage rejection when you are being vulnerable. When you are being vulnerable, your mind will be at peace that whenever whatever comes out of the scholarship application, whatever result you get, whether it is positive, whether it is negative, the fact that you are ready to take the lessons forward will make you to be a strong person when you receive an email. It's always funny when you receive, I'm sure some of us, maybe some of us have actually gotten rejections before. When you receive an email from a scholarship body or a school or an application or whatever, it's always funny when you read the first caption, the first statement of the email. The moment you do not see congratulations, then you know something is wrong. The moment you do not see I am pleased, you know something is wrong. The moment you begin to read, um, uh, we received you know, quite a huge number of, something is wrong. So, but when you are being vulnerable, okay, when you receive an email notification, the first thing that will come to your mind, even before you open it, is, after all, I did my best. Those were some of the things I always tell myself even before I open it. Whatever the result is, I will keep trying. Okay. Now, I cannot perhaps finish expatiating on the need to be vulnerable, because vulnerability will make you to reach out to people and ask questions, or reach out to people for support. For instance, I was, and perhaps it was actually a wrong way to do it. I was a loan applicant. Let me put it that way. Maybe that's the right way to put it. More like a loan applicant all throughout until 2020, when I reached out to two people to review my Mastercard scholarship essays, and I won eventually, actually. But previous years, I was more like a loan applicant. And what do I mean by that? Uh, I was always a do it by yourself person. Use YouTube, read guidelines of how to apply for scholarship, how to write statement of purposes online. That was me. Okay. But my vulnerability again eventually told me in 2020 that you need to reach out to somebody. And that was what made me to reach out to two people that had passed through the Mastercard scholarship in McGee here to review my essay that eventually won me the scholarship. Okay, so through the journey, you have to be vulnerable, because your vulnerability will continue to show you what needs to be improved upon, what you are weak on, and what you need to work on. It's very important. Now, my fourth point will be that during the scholarship journey, one good way to actually manage rejection is to distract yourself. Distract yourself with a lot of activities, multitask. I agree with the fact that we are not all built the same way. We are not all equal in abilities and strength, and perhaps maybe mental capability to undo a lot of things at the same time. But I was more like a jack of everything you can think of. Okay. While I was working as a teacher, for example, I had about 5 other organizations I was volunteering for simultaneously, and I was delivering on all of them. While I was working as a program officer, um, while I was working as a program officer for an NGO in Abuja, and perhaps some of us know the organization, Youth of Africa, I was volunteering for about 5 or 6 other organizations simultaneously. And as a matter of fact, I was leading my NGO actively, okay, back in Nigeria. Now, I was doing all this for so many purposes. One of them was because I was using that tactics to distract myself, to occupy myself, so that when I get the bad news, in quotes, I have other good things going on. Okay. I have a community project I'm working on, which is impacting life and giving me joy. So when I receive a scholarship email that have been rejected, the moment I read it, it takes me some minutes or thereabout, or maybe sometimes maybe a day or two. But the moment I remember that I have a project to deliver on, okay, I go ahead and deliver on that project. That distract me from the rejection. That does not mean I will not remember that I've been rejected or I will forget it completely. No. But I might be wrong. Maybe psychologists will actually be able to say this better. But in my experience, when I have a lot of things going on in my mind simultaneously, good and bad things, I tend to focus on the positive side, which is me. Okay. And if it is possible for other people, I think you should do that. When you have a good news or some good news and you have maybe a bad news happening at the same time, I learned to be able to use or take or make the good news to override the bad news. So I've been able to do that over the years. So maybe other people can also do it. It will go a long way. Okay, like I said, it doesn't mean you are forgetting totally the sad news or the unfortunate news. But the point is, you are able to use the good news to occupy your mind, to distract yourself from the negativity of the sad news. So now what you take away from the sad news is now the lessons and the need for improvement. How can I improve this? How can I do better? Will not be what will come to your mind. Let me give you an instance. I think it was in 2020. Yes, it was in 2020 that 2020 or 2021. I was in the office with a couple of my colleagues and we were discussing something. And I just looked at my phone. I got an email notification from Yali that Mandela Washington 2020 or 2021 application was coming out. And I just said it. I was, oh, Mandela Washington is coming out. I will apply. And let me tell you one fun thing. I started applying for Mandela Washington right from the first year Obama launched it. And I never won it. But I continued to apply except 1 year that I skipped, that I didn't apply. I continued to apply almost every year, except 1 year that I skipped and last application because I already won the scholarship. Now, a colleague of mine now said something when I said out loud, and she said, Afis, let me put it the way she said it. She said, Afis, you always apply for everything, but you are not getting it. Everybody was quiet. The office was, I mean, those of us there were, everybody was silent. Perhaps they were waiting for what I wanted to say. And I said, I called her name and I said, I will continue to apply until they pick me. Okay. Why did I say that? How was I able to summon that courage to say that in the presence of everybody? Because I already knew I knew the mindset I actually started with. Okay. And I knew the fact that I continue to document the journey. I continue to work on the journey. I continue to improve on the weaknesses. Okay. Throughout the process. So it's very, very important to distract yourself with a lot of activities. In fact, just maybe some minutes after she said that statement, I already had other things I was doing. I was working on a project in Kebbi State, for example, Kebbi and Sokoto on the Child Rights Act, which eventually they passed. They passed the bill on just a month or 2 months after I left the country, and it is now into law. Okay, so I had a lot of things I was doing. and I was not focusing on that negativity. So it's very important to have things going on in your life, even if you are not winning it now. Those things, which is the second reason, I always distract myself with a lot of activity. When you are not winning a scholarship now or a fellowship now, it is an opportunity to improve on yourself and build more on your profile so that when next you apply, they will be wowed by all the activities you've done. Okay. It surprises some of my friends when I show them my CV and they wonder how I was able to accumulate those experiences. You understand? Because I did almost anything that is available. So far, it aligns with my goal. So far, it aligns with the professional provider I'm building. So far, it aligns with my life goal. Okay. I was always ready to join the cause, to volunteer, to join the initiative or whatever was available. Okay. And I can say that those experiences over the time culminated in what assisted me in winning this scholarship I'm currently on. My last point, so that people can ask questions or I even I will appreciate if people can also make other comments. It's fine. We are here to learn together. My last point is you have to build the journey with strength. You have to summon that strength, that courage. That courage. Let me share a very funny thought I had in 2020 when I was submitting all my scholarship applications. And when I received, I think, one or two rejections early in 2021, what came to my mind was, could there be a problem with the with my email, with my Gmail? And I was already telling myself that if I receive rejection in all the scholarship applications I submitted between 2021 and 2020 and 2021, I will sign up a new email to be applying for scholarship applications. It sounds funny, right? Because as Africans, you think, wait, is it that this email is actually cost or what is happening? So that mindset crept into my mind. And immediately I thought of that. Something else came to my mind and said, no, that is not the case. The case is the fact that it is not your time. The case is the fact that perhaps you are doing something wrong, which you need to work on. The case is the fact that when you are able to review the process, you will actually know what is wrong and what to work on. And even while I was expecting scholarship results, I was already preparing for 2021, 2022 applications. So because of the first point that I mentioned, the mentality I started with, the mindset I had from the word go. So because of all of these points I've mentioned, this point gave me the strength, okay, the strength to be able to um, continue even in the face of rejection, in the face of people saying, I mean, like maybe you call it mockery or something, in the face of people saying, looking at me as a crazy person. The strength came from the fact that I knew this was what I wanted and I would go for it. So if what you want is a scholarship, by all means, that does not mean you should pause your life. And this, which will be my last point until so that we can go to Q&A. The fact that all you want is that thing. Maybe it's a scholarship, maybe it's a fellowship, maybe it's one lucrative job, whatever it is. The fact that that is what you want should not make you to pause all other aspects of your life. What do I mean by pause? Because this is all I want, that I don't need to work. For example, I just want to be applying for scholarship application. I don't need to work. I don't need to do any community intervention. I don't need to go out with friends. I don't need to have fun. I don't need to exercise. I don't need to eat well. I don't need to dress well. No, you don't pause all other aspects of your life because that's the only thing you want. We must be able to learn to absorb things that our capacity can actually take. Okay. So you have to check yourself, see that your capacity can take, for example, volunteering for 2 organizations at the same time while you're applying for scholarship, which is very good. If your capacity can only take one, fine. If your strength can take 5, go ahead and do it. So far, you know that you can manage all this, you can multitask and deliver on all of them. Please don't pause your life, all other aspects of your life, because of that one goal you want to achieve. So I think we can take question and answers now. Thank you so much. My pleasure. Thank you, Ari, for the invitation.
Well, that was a very wonderful and interactive session. Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz. Thanks a lot for sharing your experiences. I think when you were discussing, I could relate very well with all what you were saying. I think, for instance, being able, like feeling that depression immediately, you see that rejection later and all. But I think one of the things too that I would like to, okay, one important thing I would like to add to is that one of the things that I do, even despite the rejections that I've missed, or the rejections I've gotten rather, is when, because normally one needs to have that motivation or inspiration to be able to apply for another application cycle. Or so I think one of the things I do is have that thinking that this might just be it, like it might just be that 1 years that I would get, so I need to
Exactly.
apply for it. And if I miss it, it means I've missed my opportunity forever. So I think that's one of the thinking that I've had that makes me to keep on applying. And then another thing too I would like to say is never daydream. When you daydream, it makes the rejection hit harder. Like I've gotten all those because normally after, like for example, now you apply for the Mastercard scholarship and then you start daydreaming that okay, you'll get the scholarship, you'll get the admission, and then you start dreaming, thinking, already seeing yourself in Canada and all that. And then when when rejection comes, it hits harder, and then it makes it difficult for you to be able to come off or come back from that rejection. And then just to reiterate the key points that you mentioned, I think they are very very important points. Be vulnerable. I love that part very well because I think so that has also helped me because I told you earlier I was able to relate very well with all what you are saying. I think that makes me to be able to prepare better, to be better when applying for other application. So it helps one to realize, okay, what did you do wrongly in the former application, and then how can you do better on the next application? And then that is also equivalent to owning up to your failures. You don't see failures as defeat. You see it as something to better yourself, to make yourself better. So that's it. And then another thing is, so you mentioned, another key point you mentioned is reaching out to people who have gone through the process. I think that too have also helped a lot, especially in some applications that I've sent in. So reaching out to people that have gone through the process and have succeeded, it helps a lot in increasing your chances of being selected in the application process. And then also it is because there are some mistakes or things that you would not see that the other person would see, or something that you've missed, or the other person is only someone else that be able to take note of that. So that's very important as well. And then the next point that you also made, I think, is know what you want. When I say we should be focused, have that mindset. This and you're not getting it. Some will say, the tire.
Yeah, am I there?
As far as you have that Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Lost you a bit.
Yeah, okay. I think I got cut off. Yeah. So as far as you have that mindset, and then you become be intentional about what you want to achieve. So it doesn't matter whatever happens or whatever whoever says what. As far as you know what you want, and then you're intentional about getting it, then nothing else matters. And then lastly, the last point that you mentioned is distract yourself with a lot of activities. Yes, that is very, very important. And that also works for me also because when there are sometimes that you apply for this, you apply for that, and then when you have something that keeps you engaged, you distract yourself or you don't think much about the application or the decision that's going to come out of the application or the scholarships that you applied to. So I think that also helps during in facing rejections as well because let's say for instance you're doing something just as you said doing something that you love that you're passionate about, so you find out that okay at the end of the day after receiving that rejection later, then maybe that activity that as far as you're doing something that's fulfilling, that helps cover up for the moody this that you're going to be having after the rejection. Think you can just take serious in okay, yeah, this thing that I'm doing at least is working fine, is working perfectly. So that means you still have there's still opportunity as far as there's life, there's will you still have an opportunity to try more, to apply more, and that makes everything okay. So thank you very much. I think I've blabbed enough.
Yeah,
Does it
Mariam, just
okay?
quickly before you go, let me just corroborate two of your points. I love all
Okay.
the points you shared. One of them was where you said one thing to keep you going is the mindset of the fact that you don't know if that application will actually be the next successful one. Let me share my personal story again. This current scholarship I'm on, the deadline for my department was January 1st, 2021, last year. Now, last year, 2021, my 35th birthday was March 28th, just less than 3 months to my 35th birthday. Now, the requirement, one very key requirement of this scholarship, um, especially for my department, was that once you are 35, you cannot apply. Okay. So the deadline, I was looking at the deadline and I was looking at my birthday, 35th. And somebody was telling me, you're just 3 months to the deadline. I mean, to why are you wasting your time? What you are already getting to 35. So why do you have to apply? But I told myself, yes, so far it's just less than 3 months, and I still the deadline is ending even before my 35th. Just do it. I submitted, and to be honest with you, I never expected to win this scholarship. I was focusing on Chedney, Erasmus, and some other scholarships. Okay. So, but when I was speaking with a friend of mine that won Chedney and Mastercard, and I was telling him all the scholarship I did, and he was the one that told me at that point, at the time we were speaking, Chedney had sent out the first rejection. I was not there. They've sent out the second rejection. I was not there. So I was waiting for either they will call me for interview or not. Okay. So we were now discussing my chances and my options. And he now told me, if you win Cherry eventually and MasterCard, go for MasterCard. And I was like, why? So he gave me so many reasons I should choose MasterCard. And that was the point. It was at that point that my mind began to now reshape. And I started redirecting my prayers, as Africans and as a Muslim. I started redirecting my prayers and say, okay, because
I
I
can
was
relate.
expecting Germany, honestly. I, I started redirecting my prayers. Oh God, okay, anyone that comes, no problem, just give me every. But I was focusing on Germany. That's the first one. The second one is that. So what I meant there is, like you said, just to corroborate you, just submit it, just do it, put in all your best. It might be the winning application. The second point was that I applied so much that it got to a point. that when some rejection came in, I never remember that I actually applied for that application. I remember one year when we were on that free uniform project, we were on the field. We were in one school distributing project uniform to the children, and I got an email. I opened it. It was a rejection. When I read it, I was not asking myself, when did I apply for this fellowship? Because I couldn't remember, because I had done so many. So try as much as possible to distract yourself. And when I got the rejection, I just closed my phone and put it back in the pocket, and I continue with what I was doing in that school, because I had a lot of things going and I was happy doing them. So that bad news didn't get to me. So I just want to corroborate some of the points you mentioned. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it gets to a point where you see rejection as something that is normal, given your track record of rejections that you've received. And then you would also agree with me that, like, as far as you put in your work, like you put in the work, you did your best. There's this satisfaction as well that comes with submitting the application, and then you're like, no matter the outcome, you did your best, you tried. So whatever happens, if you don't get it, you just keep pushing. And then if you get it, alhamdulillah, that's good, that's fine. So thank you very much once again. Um, does anyone also want to share their own rejection experiences?
Oh, I think there's
I
some.
think we'll give like 2 minutes.
There are a couple of
Or
questions in the. There are a couple of questions in the chat, so maybe I should just
okay.
read some of them. So one question
Okay.
is that what should FYBs, like final year students, start doing now that will keep them at the edge in the search for scholarships? I'm not exactly sure what this is, but I feel what the person is saying is maybe what can they do to their profile? I mean, how can they build their profile, and what are some other activities they can be doing that can, put them in a good position to get great scholarships? So another question I want to ask there, or maybe another thing I wanted to also talk about is how can people deal with, peer pressure? For example, when you were applying for those things, you probably had, maybe because you weren't applying with people, but when I was applying, for instance, I had people that were also applying. And, sometimes your friends get like 4 scholarship, and that person gets another scholarship, and that person gets another scholarship, and you're just there and you're not really getting scholarships. And then you go on LinkedIn, just also say something about the age part. You see somebody saying something like, I got my PhD at 5 years old. I got my PhD at 10 years old. You see things like, how do you deal with all of those things? Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ibrahim. The first question, let me quickly answer it. What final year students should be doing now? Number one, build your mindset. I mean, work on your mindset first, work on your mentality. And while you are doing that, set the goal. What do you want? You see, I think I never really had this opportunity when I was in my final year until I actually finished, and I was going for my NYSC, because before I actually knew that I would be applying for scholarship. And why? Because my younger brother actually won a scholarship. So that was what actually changed my mindset. I mean, that was what prepared me to now. It was what gave me the realization that I can also do it. I can also win it. Okay. I never had that opportunity. Like this kind of session that is happening, I never had the opportunity while I was in school. Okay. So the first thing you need to work on as a final year student, you need to be sure of what you want to pursue. And the moment you are sure that I want to be applying for scholarship, the moment I am done with my studies, then that will now take you to what are the things you need to prepare. What are the documents? So you now begin to work on how you get your transcript immediately you are done, how you get your international passport. Very, very important. Yes, there are some scholarship applications that will not ask you for your international passport, the number of your international passport, and they will allow you to submit. But I encourage you massively to get your international passport, even while you are in school, if it is possible. Okay, get your international passport, get ready, be asking questions in your school, because I know that getting transcript in many Nigerian higher institutions, especially public schools, public universities, is very, very difficult. So begin to ask people, how do you get your transcript? Almost immediately you are done, learn the process. Begin to learn how you can write essays. Okay, begin to refine. Now, how do you do it? For example, I have one of my mentees now that is still in school, but he has started writing essays. He will share with me, I will correct, and he will work on it. Now, he's not applying for any scholarship. What is he doing? He's trying to get himself ready. Anytime he writes and sends to me, I correct and I tell him, work on this, work on this, work on this. I'm sure you know that when he writes tomorrow, he won't make the same mistake he has made yesterday. So you need to work on your goal, your mindset, get to know the scholarship application materials that you need, transcript, your certificate, maybe your statement of result, whatever it is, your international passport, your reference letters. Very important. If you don't have a good relationship with some of your lecturers, you still have the opportunity before you leave the school. Even if it is just 3 months that is remaining, please build good relationship with at least 2 or 3 lecturers, especially if you can build relationship with professors or doctors that are that are maybe chief lecturers or whatever they call them. It is very important because you will need these people. Somebody reached out to me recently and he told me that he had finished, but he has no lecturer at all he can reach out to in his school. But I advise him on some other things he can do. It's very important to build that good relationship because you need them to write reference letters for you. I don't know if I answered that question, but the second one, Ibrahim, just remind me quickly the second one.
Oh, the second one is how you manage peer pressure.
Oh, very good.
Online peer pressure, physical peer pressure.
Yeah, very good. You see, I think for me, the only way to actually do away with peer pressure is know who you are, know yourself. That's just a simple truth. Know who you are, know yourself, know your journey, okay? And be mindful of the fact that my journey can never be the same with Ibrahim's journey. Let me give an answer. I'm sure many of us will know the person I want to mention. Ayode Alabi is my good friend. K Factor is my good friend. We finished together from the same university and we were doing all sorts of things together, community volunteering. He had been in my town to train people under the name of my organization. So we are very close, very close. In fact, when we are during the process of application, we shared essays, we shared point tips with each other. But at the end of the day, he got his opportunities before myself. Okay. But even while he was on those opportunities, we were still, we continue to talk, we continue to discuss, and they will say, oh, do this, is knowing yourself, knowing that your journey is different from the other person. So the moment you realize that, you will not be under any pressure of any friend or any peer at all. Now, how do you do away with online pressure? I read things online for my own sake, not to be influenced by what somebody has written. I don't know if that is the correct way to put it. I read things online for my sake. I mean, for whatever I choose to do with the information, whatever I choose to gain from the information, not what the person wants me to gain. So that guides me a lot in when I read things online. For example, something abusive or something that should ordinarily make you angry, I don't get angry with anything online. The moment I read it and I know it doesn't fit my purpose, I scroll, I leave it, I go. It doesn't change anything about me. Arguing with somebody online, because people, a lot of, and let me tell you this, people live fake life online, even on LinkedIn. Most of the things you see on LinkedIn, some of them are not actually, are not the true picture. So I already have that mindset that I'm doing even better than some people that come online and share this, or on LinkedIn and share it. I'm doing far better. Okay. I already have that mindset. And that has made it possible for me not to be distracted or not to be disturbed by whatever somebody has posted. Now, again, when I was growing up, I mean, for a couple of years, I always wanted to become a professor before age 30. A professor before age 30, but I never achieved it. So, but I was never pushed by anybody's pressure. I am now a professor at 25. What I just do is I'll type congratulations, wishing you the best of luck, and I move on. Okay. But in my mind, I'm telling myself, whenever it is, I'm going to get there. I'm going to achieve it. So I think those are the ways we can, in my own little understanding, you need to know yourself and you need to know what you actually want and realize the fact that your journey is not the same thing with somebody else's journey. Those are the few points I can share on that. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Staffis, for that. I'll just like to add also some few points as well. Like the first question, what to do as a final year student. Another thing I would like to say is just as Mr. Afiz mentioned earlier, I think one of the things you should do is be exposed, like move with people that are exposed, because that makes you to get more information and you'll be able to know things that you are meant to do. Let's say, for instance, you are moving with friends that are already, or let's say, like earlier, Mr. Hafiz mentioned about his mentor and then his mentee rather, and he's already putting tutoring towards writing great essays. So when you move with people that are more knowledgeable or more experienced, you tend to gain more information. You begin to have that focus, more information of what is, start working on your career plan. After school, what do you want to do? So that helps to shape your you need to take to be able to achieve your goal or your career. I would also say is make research. You have Google, try to make research. Anything you want to do or anything you want to achieve, there are tons of information in the internet, so you make use of that. And then lastly, try to be engaged in the community, like your school community. Try to involve yourself in extracurricular activities. School is not only about schooling. There are other things that you can gain, because there are, like, for example, I'm very sure the MasterCard scholarship, I think there was an essay on leadership as well. And then how you can be story as regards to leadership is from how you've been able to engage with the community that you were in. And so that's why you need to engage yourself in your community, gain work experiences, engage yourself in volunteer works or community services. And that helps you to build your network, meet more people that will be able to help you through your career journey and all. And then for the second question that you said, how does one manage peer pressure? I think what you said is true. Like, I think most of the time, or sometimes rather, when I go through LinkedIn and I see probably someone less than a 20-year-old person has gained PhD, is doing this and doing that, I'll be like, wow. But one thing that I take out from that is motivation. That particular thing that I see serves as a motivation for me. If this person can be able to achieve this at this particular time, it means I also can also be able to do that. So instead of seeing it as an intimidation, you should see it as an inspiration to you to be able to better yourself, build yourself more, and continue to work towards what you want to achieve in the future. And just as Mr. Afis said earlier, everybody's journey is different. Your boss is different from my boss. So your situation is different. The resources that are available for you is different from the resources that is available to me. So it depends on how I was able to make use of the resources that is available to me to my own for my own benefit. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's journey is different. So just make sure you focus on what you want to achieve and never give up. Be determined, be resilient. Mr. Afia said he has gotten over 40 rejections. It's because of that costs. Have that mindset, be intentional that okay, this is what I want to achieve, and until I achieve this, I would keep moving. I would never stop. So that's just it. So any other questions, Mr. Ibrahim?
Yeah, Miriam.
Yeah.
I got a question from Soviet directly to me. Then I can see I consider Mila relation of. Let me quickly answer Soviet's question on volunteering opportunities. When you want to volunteer, two things are very key. Number one, you need to look at what are you passionate about. So if you are passionate about education, for example, then that will guide the kind of organizations or initiative you can volunteer on. If you are passionate about sexual and reproductive health, if you are passionate about technology accessibility in maybe local communities, it will guide the kinds of organizations, project, or initiative you volunteer on. Now, the second thing that is very important you should check is any volunteering opportunities must align with either what you are studying or what your career aspiration is. Okay. For example, in my case, I was studying education. My career aspiration is to make education accessible to children all over the world. But because I cannot achieve the world immediately, what I have access to is my immediate community. Okay. So I needed to now look for opportunities for volunteering within my community on providing education to children. Okay. So you have to look at what you are studying, and the volunteering opportunities should align with what you are studying. Very important. Or it should align with what your career aspiration is. If you are a social worker, for example, what you volunteer on must align with social work or align with maybe your career aspiration. So it depends on whatever the case. Maybe it aligns with what you study or what you want to. For example, somebody might be studying food science, but you don't want to work in food science. You want to work in project management in future. So what you volunteer on should be on project management. Okay. But if you want to work as a project manager in future and you are studying food science, but you want to continue your graduate studies in food science, now you have the option of either look for volunteering opportunities that will build your career as a project manager, or volunteering opportunity that will boost your profile as a food scientist, so that when you are writing your scholarship, you have something to say. So it depends on whatever side you want to go with. Now, where do you have volunteering opportunities? First of all, start within your environment, within your immediate community. It doesn't really make sense to leave your immediate community and you are looking for volunteering opportunity elsewhere. Now, if you can move, or maybe you are moving, or you have the intention of moving to a new community or a larger community, and you are looking for volunteering opportunities there, that is very good. Okay. But I'm one of the advocates of build from the local. Okay. Look at your immediate community and see organizations that are doing things that relate to what you want to achieve. That is one. The second thing is that, what if I don't have an organization? For example, I want to provide education for accessible education for children in vulnerable communities, in low-income communities, but I do not have an NGO or any organization that is doing something like that in my community. How can I do it? Then you can create an initiative, maybe yourself or with some people. And I will give you two practical examples. Number one, what led to the Oyo Free uniform project was because I was passionate about providing access to education for children in low income communities. So that was what made me to join that initiative. If that was not my passion, if that was not my goal, if that was not my life aspiration, I won't join that initiative. I would look for something else or be sleeping in my room or in my house and be eating my food, you know. But because that project aligned with what I wanted to achieve, I joined it. Okay. The second thing was that I noticed in my community then, when I started my NGO in 2017, that there was no NGO that was doing spectacularly what I wanted to do. There was no NGO doing spectacularly some problems I wanted to tackle in my community. So I needed to, when I noticed that there was no organization doing that, then the next was that I needed to create an NGO or an initiative that will be tackling those particular problems in my community. So you have so many options. Either you join an existing organization, an existing movement, an existing initiative or project that people are doing, or you create your own. Now, if you also want to do online volunteering, it's also very important and welcome. I volunteer for an organization back in Nigeria, and they were not in my community, for example. What I did for them mostly was online. You know, you can also do that. Now, you can have access to volunteering opportunities or even internship is one of it. It's not just volunteering opportunity. You can do internship, free paid work, free unpaid work, and so many of that. Now there are opportunities website online, for example. I know Youth of Africa, for example, where I've worked in Nigeria, as a blog where they share opportunities. Okay, I think they call it opportunities.youthofafrica.org. There is also, I think, opportunities.com. I can't remember. There are so many other organizations that just go on Google and search for organizations that share volunteering opportunities and look at the one that align with those things I've mentioned, your career aspiration or the course you are studying. So those are the points I will share on that. Now, for mentorship opportunity, I will share my email with people that are here that are interested, either for mentorship or for sharing your statement of purpose or scholarship essay or whatever you want to share. I'll be willing to review free of charge. I don't collect money for stuffs like this. So I will share my email in chat. You can reach out, but please don't share beyond the air. I'm always very careful with it. That's my official email, sort of. So I will share my email. You can always reach out if you have any question or you need any guideline, and I will be willing to support. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz. And then I think the second question as well from Mr. Damilare Emmanuel. He said, could you please share with us some of your accessibility strategies after being offered rejection letters?
I don't know if Damilare will be willing to speak. I wanted to understand what he means by accessibility.
Okay,
strategy. To be sure, is
Damilare,
what
can
I
you unmute
understood.
yourself and clarify more on your question?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hafiz, for that wonderful presentation. Seriously, it was a most enjoyable briefing. So, as regards my question, when you have some of these rejection letters, they don't point out, okay, some of your weaknesses. And sometimes it's hard to kind of find out, okay, what exactly is the problem. So I don't know if you can kind of share with us some of your accessibility strategies. Okay, maybe you look into your portfolio. Oh, could it be this? Could it be that? I don't know, like some of the things you use to evaluate yourself when you have rejection letters. And in addition to that, I would like to ask, how do you separate daydreaming from having a sense of positivity over every situation? How do you separate separate daydreaming from having a sense of positivity over every situation. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Yeah, thank you for the clarity. I wanted to be sure. I understood the same thing. Now, there are several ways you can do that. One, you can reach out to the scholarship body, shoot them an email, and request. Maybe like something like thank you for whatever. But I would like if you can share, if it is possible, to share with me what I did wrong so that I will be able to improve. Some scholarship organizations will actually do that because of the fact that some of them don't have a huge number of applicants. But some scholarship organizations will not be able to do that because they have a huge number of applicants and it will be difficult to answer everybody. So, but you can always try your luck with any organization, any scholarship body, irrespective, Now, but whatever the case is, whether they get back to you or they do not get back, whether they provide feedback or they do not provide feedback, what you need to do is the moment you receive a rejection email, take your time to sit down and look at your application. Because it is you are the one that did it. It's your profile. You know those things that you put, okay, and this is being honest, if I look at the essays I wrote in 2016, 2017, 2018, 19, 20, until 2021, I can tell you myself, even without sharing with anybody to assess and grade me, if I look at them and grade myself, I can tell you that there was a great improvement in what I wrote in 2020 compared to what I wrote in 2016. Because there was progression, there was learning, there was movement. I was moving upward. So this is very, very important. This is what you have to check yourself. Look at your profile, look at your essay, look at what you have written, look at the way you structured it, and look at what actually went wrong yourself. Now, that is one way. The other way, which is the third thing, is that you can actually reach out to people. You can have what we call an accountability partner. I'm sure we are familiar with that term. Now, an accountability partner is more like a friend, somebody that you can share anything with. And here you have to be careful again, like Ibrahim asked the other time, of the problem of peer pressure. Okay, you have to be sure that this person is somebody that you trust to tell you the truth, somebody to be honest with you, somebody to give you a very frank assessment of what you are doing right or what you are doing wrong, and share with the person. Okay, so and this can be pre and post. It can be even before you submit your application. Share with this person to look at it holistically. Okay, these are the requirements of the application. Look at the requirement and what I'm about to submit or I'm about to share or whatever, and let the person tell you, give their feedback. It's very very important. But it's also very important to reach out to this your accountability partner. If you receive a rejection, oh my friend, I got the rejection, but I wanted to be sure what went wrong. Can you go through my essay again and look at the requirement? Okay, now one way to now access your essay is go back to the scholarship questions. For example, the problem most of us face when we're applying for scholarship is sometimes we are not careful. We don't pay much attention to the hidden questions in questions. For example, when you are doing Chevney, one question is probably having 3 questions or 2 questions. Okay, so when you are able to have somebody that is an accountability partner, it will be helpful for that person to look at these questions and be able to break them down. So when you apply, when you hold this essay, you didn't put this, you didn't do this, you forgot to do this, So those are the ways you can do it. Either you reach out to the scholarship body themselves, or you do the assessment by yourself, or you use an accountability partner. It goes a long way. Now, how can you differentiate between daydreaming and being positive? Okay. I think one way you can do it is daydreaming. In my opinion, I might be wrong. Daydreaming comes when you are too fixated on the benefit of what you're applying for. For example, you have not won the scholarship, but you're already thinking of how you will spend the scholarship money. And you take your time, you do this, you think about this all the time. By that way, daydreaming will come. For example, every moment you are thinking of, they pay £500 when you become a Chetney scholar, they pay £500, and if I get that £500, I will be sending this one home. I will build the house in the next 6 months. I will do this. I will do that. Daydreaming will come in. Okay. Now, how do you avoid that? Let me tell you this. I never knew the amount of stipend they pay for MasterCard until I got here, because I avoided that question. Even though I knew I had a friend that won it, I had a friend that was on that scholarship, I had a friend that was already getting the money, I never asked him. All what I was asking him was, what is this scholarship all about? How is the experience? What are the things I should take advantage when I become a scholar? What are the leadership opportunities? Okay. Before I got to this scholarship, I already knew those things that you can also do while you are being a scholar. So those were the questions I was asking. I was not asking questions on monetary aspect of it, okay, because I knew that was not necessary. That was not important at that moment. So all what I was thinking about was leadership opportunities, volunteering opportunities, and so on within the scholarship journey. Okay, so those are the ways you can actually avoid daydreaming. Now, but when you are asking the other side of the question that I mentioned, other things that will improve you when you become that scholar, you are being positive. You are not daydreaming in that instance. Okay, but when you are too fixated on the benefit, especially when it comes to money, then you begin to daydream. So those are the ways I think you can remain positive and not daydreaming in your scholarship journey. Thank you. I don't know if I answered those questions.
Yeah, I think you did. Thank you very much, Mr. Afiz, for those wonderful responses once again.
Yeah,
and
sorry,
then I think,
ma'am. They said the slides are moving too fast. I'm not the one controlling them. Am I?
okay, yeah, Ibrahim would taking notes, so he'll make adjustments. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So as I was saying, I think one of the interesting things as regards to the first question of Mr. Damilari, one of the interesting parts of this never giving up, like you keep applying, is that you tend to identify your errors in the previous applications and make improvements on them. I think for some applications, I think you find out that there are some essays that you submit that like are in line with, let's say, for example, you are applying for MasterCard and you're applying for Chevron, and then probably the leadership essays part, the part on leadership, you find out that it's similar. So you want to use the essay you used for Chevron to also apply for McGill. So in that case, now you already know, okay, when you applied for MasterCard, you didn't get it. And so you want to use that particular essay to apply for Chevron. So that means you have to go back and then identify what are the errors, what didn't you do that made you. So I think that is one interesting this thing about never giving up, keep applying, and then from there you learn to identify what are your errors or weaknesses, and then you improve on them. And then for the last question, as regards to never daydreaming, it's great what Mr. Hafiz mentioned. And then I would also like to add that just make sure that whatever application that you submit or you put in, make sure you did your best, like you put in your best. And so, like I mentioned earlier, there's this satisfaction that comes in, like when you know you did your best, you know you did all what you're supposed to do before submitting the application. And then when you do that and then you just submit, and then for me normally when I submit, I just forget about it because I know I'm done with that. Then I move on to the next if it's an application, another application or opportunity that I want to apply for, then I move on to the next. So I tend to just forget about it. So, but still having that positive mindset, okay, I did my best. If it doesn't come out, fine. If it comes out well, then good. All I know, okay, I'm done with that. Let me move on to the next. So even if the decision about that one comes in, if peradventure it's a no, yes, I'm applying for this one, which I might end up getting a yes for. So that is what I normally do as regards to not daydreaming. And then Mr. Hafiz also mentioned, keep yourself distracted. Don't think too much about it, because when you dwell too much on it, that's when before you won't even know it when you start imagining yourself doing a lot of things, going out with friends. You see yourself in Canada doing this, doing that, and here. So I think that's the key points. So I will check on the chat box if you have any more questions, and that will be it. Okay, I can't see any other questions on the chat box. So, Mr. Ibrahim.
Oh, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. So thank you all for attending this nice session. I think it has been really educational, and it has been really interesting and wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Hafiz, for creating, time from your busy time to speak to us. We really appreciate your coming, and and every other person too that came here. I hope every one of you, picked one or two things from this presentation. So the slides I was showing earlier were some of the things I picked from the whole discussion, and I quickly made it into a slide so people that are not here can still benefit from what we sent, what everything we said in this discussion. So we are going to be sharing that with other people, and they are also going to benefit from this. So one other thing is I want to invite every one of us to another presentation we're going to be having next week. So it's about crafting a statement of purpose, and it's going to be delivered by Hafiz Jima. He's a graduate research assistant at West Virginia University. So I encourage all of us to attend. I think the link is supposed to be the same as this link that we used today. I think there's a little bit of an error there. I'm going to try and fix that. So anyways, thank you all for attending, and you can follow Ignite Research Academy on social media platforms if you're not doing that already, so you can get news about some of the things we are doing. And thank you all. Miriam, do you want to?
Okay, thank you very much, Ibrahim, for that. Just to add to that, I think the statement of purpose, some people know it as personal statement or statement of motivation. Although there are few differences, but it's all similar. It's all geared towards the admissions committee trying to connect your past, your present, and your future. And that's why Mr. Hafiz made mention in his earlier discussion that whichever volunteer opportunity you want to apply for or you want to go into, it should be aligned with your career aspirations or what you are studying. So now when you are trying to craft your statement of purpose or your personal statement of motivation, you can be able to link everything up and then submit a great SOP. So for this presentation, just as Mr. Ibrahim mentioned earlier, Mr. Hafiz Juma will be taking us through. It's going to be a very technical session. So we're going to be doing live review of I think 2 or 3 SOPs then. So if you are someone that is getting ready to submit an application, a scholarship application, or whichever that requires a statement of purpose or personal statements or essays. So do make sure to try and attend. And once again, on behalf of Ignite Research Academy team, we all want to thank our wonderful speakers for today, Mr. Afis Akinola. It was very interesting today. Thank you very much for sharing your experiences, your insights, and all the information as regards to managing rejections. And I think he even went far beyond managing rejections as well. And I'm sure those of us that attended were able to gain one or two from that. And to our wonderful participants, thank you as well for joining us. So special shout out to Hakeem Longway from Mozambique. Juma Omala is also in Canada as well. Well, he's my Kenyan friend. So Juma, thank you for joining us today. Melissa from Zimbabwe too was here, but I think she has left already. So thank you so much, everybody who was able to find time to attend our session for today. And we also have other wonderful sessions coming up, very educative and enlightening. So we look forward to your presence as well. So bye, everybody, and have a
Thank you,
great
everyone.
weekend.
Thank you. Bye bye.